Hello, and welcome to the Small Business Sweet Spot. I'm your host, Barb Davids, and this show is dedicated to helping small business owners like you get more organic website traffic, and also to help create and distribute content and analyzing the numbers so that we can make better informed marketing decisions. It is action-oriented, direct, and conversational. And if you've been looking for SEO or content marketing help, please stick around to the very end where I share about the group coaching program, Small Business Sweet Spot. I'm so glad you're here. Let's go. All right, this week's episode is integrating AI into your content workflow, a really juicy topic in my opinion. And I am here with Kinsey Streib, a branding and marketing expert and self-proclaimed AI nerd. And I'm going to read her bio for you, and then she and I are going to dig into the conversation. So Kinsey is a branding and marketing expert, a course creator, host of 2 podcasts, and entrepreneur of 5+ years. With her brand and podcast, Feel Good Social, she helps down-to-earth entrepreneurs show up online without wasting their time or selling their soul. She focuses on authentic storytelling, genuine marketing, and building a brand that simply feels good. She created her sister brand and podcast, Authentic AI, to help solopreneurs figure out how they can start using AI tools in their business without wasting their time or sacrificing their authenticity. She focuses on a human-first approach to AI, keeps it approachable, and encourages you to make AI work for you, not the other way around. So if you get a chance and you love what she has to say, which I know you will, go connect with her on Instagram, or you can tune into her 2 podcasts, Feel Good Social and the Authentic AI podcast. So hello, Kinsey. I'm so looking forward to this chat. Welcome to the Sweet Spot.
Oh, thank you so much for having me, Barb. I cannot wait to geek out about AI with your audience.
Yay. All right. I know I read your bio, but is there anything maybe you'd like to share in your words about how you help people specifically, or some of maybe the highlights from your clients, how you help people in your business?
Yeah, I mean, you know how entrepreneurship goes. I feel like over the years, there's so many ups and downs and curveballs and pivots and all that different stuff, which I have felt and I've gone through, and I feel that. So, over the years, I think I started out, trying to do it all for everyone, and then slowly kind of pivoted into more social media. And then I realized that where my sweet spot really is authentic branding and genuine marketing that feels good to you, right? And not feeling like you have to follow all the shoulds or all the rules that we hear about online all the time, and really just figuring out what works for you, right? So then about a year ago now, crazy that's been a year, I started hearing about all the AI hubbub, the buzz and stuff. And I was like, what is this? And I'll be honest, my first reaction when I first kind of heard about AI tools and entrepreneurs using them and stuff, I was like a total curmudgeon about it. I was like, isn't the internet fake enough as it is already? Like, what is this going to do to our creativity, our critical thinking skills? All of the worries and fears kind of ran through my head, and I wasn't really for it. And then I kind of had one of those realizations where I was like, okay, AI is here. It actually seems like it can be a pretty cool tool. Let's turn toward AI and see what these tools are all about and see how we can make them work for us in a way that aligns with us, right? So now I've started Authentic AI. I'm kind of bringing the feel good social approach to AI technology, and just figuring out, yeah, how can we use these tools while maintaining our authenticity and without feeling overwhelmed, without feeling like there's just more things that we need to learn. How can we make it work for us within our business and our workflows? So that's kind of a little bit more about me, I guess.
Yeah, that's great. I think I felt the same way. I was a bit of a curmudgeon as well. That's a good way to put it when it first came out. And I was like, no, 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 this can't work. This cannot replace people, blah, 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 blah. And now I've slowly adapted to not leaning on it 100%, but using it where it makes sense for me. So I've been excited to follow your socials and just seeing how you use it in different ways and sharing how it can be used, and not in a way that is icky, basically, because people, I think for myself, when I first thought about it, I didn't know as much about it. And it was like, okay, I'm just going to go use this and it's done and ready. It's got to just come out looking great. And it so doesn't. And I think it's a little bit scary to think, oh yeah, it is another tool. How can I make that work? So maybe we can start with what's a good starting point for people who want to maybe just kind of tap into it and see if it could work for them.
Yeah, totally. I feel you with that as well. And that was my fear too. I'm just like, ugh, like, is this going to like just ruin everyone's authenticity? And also, I've heard that so often because it's normal for us to think, oh my gosh, this technology is so amazing. It can do all, it knows all, it will just produce something perfect from me for me right from the beginning, right? And that happens to a lot of people when they're just starting out using tools like ChatGPT, for example, generative tools and stuff like that, is they are so excited about it. They start using it and it's not exactly what they want, or they realize it's not perfect. And it can be kind of frustrating for them. And they're like, well, I just wasted my time with this thing. I could have done it faster myself and all that different stuff. Right. And it's like, I think what we really need to do when we're starting out is to just kind of adjust our expectations, right? And remember that it is a tool that we can use in our business. It can help us, but it's not going to do all the work for us, right? So really shifting our mindset to think about it as like an intern or a sounding board or something like that, something that will help us along the way. But it's not just going to be this miracle that totally runs the show for your business all of a sudden, right? So just going into it with that, getting curious. I will say that it can be a little bit scary to get started with AI tools if you're thinking like it's just so much to learn, or you don't feel like you're tech savvy or anything. But I will say that most AI tools are actually pretty easy and straightforward to use. And for something like ChatGPT, it's literally just opening it up on your computer. There is a free version. It's super easy. It's a chat bot. It's like back in the day, if you were on AOL Messenger or MSN Messenger, whatever, it's literally like chatting back and forth with a friend, right? And so for anyone who hasn't used AI tools yet, I would just say go to chat.openai.com. That's ChatGPT. Just create the free account and just get started playing around with it. Ask it a question that's been burning on your mind today, or like one single task that you would love just help with brainstorming, or whatever that looks like for you. Or you could just tell it about yourself in a way, or tell it about your business, right? That's always kind of fun to just kind of go back and forth introducing yourself, and it will probably ask you questions, for example, or like you could ask, how can you help me today? And it will tell you, and all the different stuff. So just kind of get started, get a feel for it, start playing around with it, and kind of without any expectations. And then you'll slowly start to get used to it. And then you can kind of start thinking, how can I maybe start utilizing this in my own business and my everyday tasks and whatever I need help with, right? And when it comes to that, then that's when it can be a little bit overwhelming sometimes, like all the possibilities, right? And I feel like if you start learning about AI tools and you start kind of looking things up on the internet about them, or going in search of advice about them, there are quite a few, we'll call them bros, who are in the AI technology world. And I do feel like there's going to be like AI pushers. Like, okay, well, now you love AI. Now it has to take over your business. Now it has to do all these different tasks for you all the time, blah, blah, blah. And it's like, okay, no, no, no. Let's calm down, guys. Let's like figure out what we need help with in our business. Let's remember our own established workflows that we already have. Let's think about those tasks that we actually really would love to outsource, or the things that we need help with. And let's just slowly start integrating these tools into our businesses and lives in a way that makes sense for us and works for us. So I always tell people when they're just starting out, firstly, just play around with it. And then secondly, take it one day, one tool, and one task at a time. You don't have to just suddenly revamp everything in your business. You can just slowly start to integrate it and see where that takes you.
That's really great advice. I like the starting off slow and just doing one thing. Do you have like something fun that maybe you would suggest that might not be business related, just to get like their feet wet?
Might not be business related. Oh,
Yeah,
let's see.
kind of put you on the spot with this one.
Yeah, let's see, the business related stuff. I mean, there's so many fun things that you could do. Depends on what you need and what you're into, I think, right? Like you can have it suggest meal plans for you and things like that, or different exercise routines. I've been playing around with it with the Enneagram. I forget. Girl, I
Oh,
have
that's
been an
fun.
Enneagram 7 since I like started. Well, not really. When you're first I don't know if you're an Enneagram nerd or anything like
Just a
that,
little
but
bit, just a little bit.
okay. I like interviewed someone years ago for the Feel Good Social podcast about the Enneagram. All of a sudden I was like, oh, wow, I love it. But I kind of started out not really knowing my number, but then since then I've been an Enneagram 7, like hardcore. It's obvious to me that I'm an Enneagram 7. But recently I was like, oh, maybe I'm a 4. And so I was like asking ChatGPT like the difference between the 4s and the 7s and how do I know if I'm a 4 or 7? I was like kind of explaining my thought process to it and like just different things about me. And it was like, and also the fun thing about, I'm just going to go with this Enneagram example. Sorry if you guys aren't Enneagram nerds who are watching, but as with most personality tests, there's lots of different nuances. If you're into astrology, there's like the rising sign, the falling sign, I don't know, the sun, the moon, all the different things. Same with the Enneagram, there's like lots of different nuances behind it that like only deep nerds would know. And I myself don't even really understand. Like, I'm not that much of a nerd about it, but ChatGPT knows a lot about it. It's been trained on so much data and it does know a lot of the nuances of the Enneagram, which is pretty cool because then it was able to tell me, I think you're a 7, Kinsey, and here's why, because like these little nuances that you didn't realize that might look like the 4 can be the 7 too, or whatever it is. So that was
Yeah,
kind of fun to play around with.
that's good. I've never thought about doing that one, so I'm gonna have to go try that out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That was so fun. And also, another fun little way that you can play around with it for your business that I love because I'm such a branding nerd and such a brand voice and personality nerd too and stuff is I love getting it to analyze my brand person, like my brand mission, vision, values, and then kind of comparing that to how I show up and like how does this kind of go into the way that I talk to my audience and my brand voice and the messages that I talk about and like how it all works together. And it really makes me feel like more solid in understanding who my brand is and all the different stuff. And so that I always nerd out about doing that too. And I've kind of done a lot of work with that with Feel Good Social for sure. And so I kind of have understood most of the things that ChatGPT has told me about my brand personality, but it still makes me feel good. I'm like, yes, okay, my brand is aligned, I'm showing up.
Yeah, that feels good. I
Yeah.
know you have a course on that, and I need to still dive into it that goes in specifically how to use that to your advantage and in a good way. So I will make sure to put the links to down in the show notes for this, but in case somebody wants to take the course and learn how to really utilize it for their brand and think about those side of things, that would be really cool. What would you say is probably the most productive way? I mean, let's say somebody goes through and they figure out their brand and they get it all set up and they like it and they want to start thinking about, okay, how's the best way to use this? What's one of the questions that they can ask themselves to know, okay, where's the right spot to use it and how?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. There's like so many different ways that we can use it. Right. And so I think it's really about being open to the possibilities, being aware of what you need right now and just like in general. And then also remembering to set boundaries, reel yourself in, put a pin in it if needed, because when you start using, especially, I'm just going to keep going with ChatGPT just because
Yep.
it's kind of one of my faves. But, especially tools like ChatGPT, you start using it, all of a sudden there's so many ideas and so many things that's throwing your way. And then it kind of does play off your creativity. I found myself being more kind of creative and open to possibilities since I've started using ChatGPT, right? And so it's funny because it's finding that balance and that fine line of, okay, I could use it for a lot of things, like remember it, like thinking about the ways you could use it that you haven't even thought of, and still we're just trying to focus on the tasks that you need it for, right? Because yeah, it's kind of could go either way for sure. So when it comes to thinking about how you can be using ChatGPT in your business, I really think that it's a good idea to think about some of those pressure points maybe that you're struggling with in your business, like the pressure points. Like I love using it to just kind of break through creator's block or writer's block anytime I come up and like working along and all of a sudden I'm hitting like banging my head against the wall being like, I know there's like a sentence there or I know there's an idea there and I just can't think of it. That's like a daily task that I use ChatGPT for all the time. And it's just crazy how quickly it allows me to get past those moments when I would just be sitting at my computer for an hour, like procrastinating or just like rolling my eyes at myself or feeling frustrated with myself that I can't think of whatever this is, you know. Also for me with Enneagram 7 shiny object syndrome all the time, I have so many freaking ideas. And I'm like in the middle of my business and I'm thinking of this thing. I'm like, oh, this thing. And I'm like, oh, I see the vision for like an online course or something that I want to create. I'm like, I see the vision and like I have all these ideas and I need to get them out of my head and onto paper and in an organized way. And I'll just brain dump into ChatGPT for whatever I'm thinking and allow it to kind of organize my thoughts for me. And then I can use it as a sounding board, go back and forth with it to hone exactly like what I want my idea to look like, right? Also, you can think about the things that you just don't love doing, right? That you hate doing. If there are any mundane tasks, repetitive tasks, copy that you just hate to write, you know, like I'm a creative person and and I love writing copy, but there's some copy that I just like hate writing. For example, back to online courses and stuff, I can like write, like I'll write the whole lesson until like that very last paragraph that's like, you know, basically it's just like, okay, this lesson is wrapped up. Let's move on to the next lesson or whatever it is. And I hate writing that. I don't know why. And so, you know, I'll always have just ChatGPT write that paragraph for me on top of other tasks for sure when it comes to that. But just like the emails that you don't want to write, you know, actually it can be pretty great at writing like customer service emails. Like if you ever get any awkward emails that you're like, I don't know how to respond to this, and or you're feeling triggered, right? We all have those moments when someone sends us an email and we're like, oh, I'm feeling triggered right now. I can't respond to this because I'm just like mad, you know? And ChatGPT can help with that sort of stuff. If you just hate writing like ad copy or you hate writing your email newsletters or podcast show notes, like the ChatGPT is really great for that. I will actually, for my podcast, download the transcript, throw it into ChatGPT, and have it help me craft the show notes, pull quotes from each episode, all that different stuff. Yeah, so thinking about like the pressure points, the pain points that it can help you with, and then just also any like creative task that you want it to help you with, like ideation, you know, going back and forth with things, analyzing things. I know that, you know, I heard someone say that they downloaded like their Google Analytics reports or like numbers or whatever it is and had ChatGPT analyze it for them and stuff, like through the file into ChatGPT, which is pretty fun. Yeah, just lots of different ways and stuff. So just really thinking about yourself, what you need, where your pain points, pressure points are, desires are, and thinking about like, how could this tool like even help me just a little bit, right? Like I'll be writing social media captions, you know, and I do like to write, so I'll just write, you know, and all of a sudden I'll hit that point where I'm like, okay, like I have this one sentence here, but I feel like there's a different way to say it, or like I want to start this next sentence, but I don't know how to finish it. And I'll like just throw that a little bit into ChatGPT and be like, can you help me finish this? So really just like completing tasks too. Getting tasks done is great. Yeah.
I like that. That is so completely helpful. I have a lot of takeaways for that so that I can go through. I think I just need to sit and think about those things, right? Just go through and be like, oh, I'm doing this, but I don't like to do that. Let me see if I can do something with ChatGPT. You did allude to the fact that ChatGPT is one of your favorite tools. Do you have any other AI tools that you like or that you would recommend?
Yeah. Oh, I know. I am to set boundaries with myself. Again, I'm trying to like not necessarily just like fully dive headfirst into all the tools, right? Which is good because there's so many. But I am actually creating an authentic AI tech toolkit, I'm calling it. Basically just a Notion hub where I'm throwing all the tools that all my podcast guests talk about stuff into there. So I've heard great things about Opus Clip is one that has come up again and again and again. If you are one of those people who has like some sort of video content, Barb, this would be great for you, is like throwing your podcast into Opus Clip. And it is one of those programs that will just like analyze the video and then automatically pull clips from the video. And it actually, the cool thing too is I was just playing around with it yesterday. It gives you a rating of like it's called the virality rating or
Hmm.
something. So, and it grades like your video, each clip that it pulls, it grades it on different things like how trendy it is, if the hook, if like the intro to the video is like eye catchy enough, and it gives you like an analysis of each clip that it pulls. And yeah, for like a 40-minute podcast, it probably takes like less than 10 minutes to get the clips back and stuff. And then you can like automatically get them and share, and automatically adds the captions. And it's it's one that I'm definitely probably going to start integrating into my workflow, because it took me a while, because I was like, well, I have Descript, which is another one that I use. It has AI features as well. I use that for editing podcasts, pulling clips and stuff, but I might be shifted over to Opus Clip for a few things.
Okay, that sounds really super fantastic. Like that would be so much easier because I think that is a pain point of mine trying to figure out, okay, with video pieces, going through and trying to figure out where they are and taking the time because you have to listen to it all again. So that would
Yep.
be a huge time saver.
Yeah, definitely check it out, lady, for
Yeah.
sure. It's awesome.
And when is your database going to be available? I'm very excited about that one.
Okay, well, by the time this episode comes out, it will be available. I'm
Okay.
like wanting to release it this week. It's literally one of those things. This week is full of podcast interviews for me. And I'm like,
Yeah.
this is another issue with AI tools, lady. I'm like, but I want to do it all right away, all immediately. Like I have to like, I'm getting frustrated with my humanness. I'm like, girl, calm yourself,
Yeah.
but yeah, I am hoping to release it by the end of this week. So by the
Okay.
time this episode comes out, we'll make sure we link it for sure. Yeah.
All right. Great. I have another question. What is a common mistake that entrepreneurs make when they are trying to integrate AI into their content workflow?
Yeah, I think that we might have like touched on a few of these already, but I just need to reiterate them if we have, because it's definitely like something I need to remind myself of. I think that firstly, it's easy to feel overwhelmed, feel frustrated, and or just get sucked into, like, especially as entrepreneurs, we are ambitious by nature, right? And so I always laugh because, it's a common theme. I think you feel this too, for us to want to find that elusive work-life balance, right? And as entrepreneurs, it's really hard to find because we're just in the middle of our business. We're ambitious. We have all these things to do. Our to-do list is never ending. And then here comes AI tools that can actually help us like get more done more quickly, and all the different stuff. And it's really easy to get sucked into the, okay, but I can do more now, right? And so I always have to remind myself, like, no, reel it in, kids. Like, just because you can set a deadline for the end of this week doesn't mean that you have to set a deadline for the end of this week. Just because you can write 5 more blog posts a month now with the help of AI doesn't mean you have to. So, like, there's all these different things. I always remind myself that these tools do allow us to do more and all this different stuff, but they also allow us to find more wiggle room behind the scenes to actually enjoy our life, which we need to monopolize on, because that's the dream, right? That's the dream. So that's one of those things I always love to remind people of. Also, it's easy to get sucked into thinking that AI is an all-knowing, all-doing sort of situation, right? And especially with ChatGPT, for example, like ChatGPT is not always factual. It's not always correct, and it's not always right for your brand, right? And it can't do it all, right? It does have limitations and stuff. And when you just start using these AI tools, you might not know that, or it can be easy to forget that too, because ChatGPT can be very convincing. It's very confident in the things that it tells you, even when it is like flat out wrong, which is like pretty funny. So, it's always just remembering to think critically about anything that it throws your way. Remember, knowing its limitations, all that different stuff is important to remember too. There was actually, this was a while ago now, but there was like this huge story that happened, that like a lawyer used ChatGPT to help him with his defense or something, and ChatGPT just totally made up all these facts. So like this case or something that he was using, and he got in big trouble because
Oh
it
my
like
gosh.
wasn't real, right? And it's just hilarious. And since then, most of these AI tools, similar to ChatGPT, have implemented things. You'll always see at the bottom it says, this information might not be correct, and even to sometimes when I have asked it before to. Oh, this is a funny thing. So I was I was creating a new ebook because I was randomly was invited to be a part of this summit for fiction writers, and we're talking about branding rituals for fiction writers. And so I was creating this new ebook for them, and I was like, "Oh, I really want to include like a quote, from like a writer about that kind of like goes into the themes of branding and stuff." So I went to ChatGPT. I asked it like, "Please, like, let's brainstorm some quotes from authors that have to do with this topic." And it was like brainstormed all these quotes and they weren't real quotes, right? Like but luckily it did say at the bottom, and it wouldn't have before. And so I think that it's like the text behind the AI tools, like implementing some kind of fail safe, like fallback things to tell you this isn't real, right? So at the bottom of the first prompt that I said, it had said like all these quotes, and then it's like, these are potential quotes that like someone could, like, it's not, I forget, it said something where it was like I could tell these were like not real, although it still wasn't like super clear. And then I asked it to bring some real life quotes from real life authors, and then it brainstormed actual quotes that I ended up including one in the ebook. But it was like, okay, like ChatGPT, I'm looking for the real life stuff.
That is pretty funny and also a little scary. I mean, the lawyer story, that is a very scary one. Hmm.
It's
Right.
just kind of, yeah, it's one of those things that you just don't like, you don't know what you don't know. And that was way back in the beginning of people starting to use ChatGPT in the mainstream. And the lawyers like didn't do his research on the tool he was using, and he didn't understand its limitations, right? And stuff.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's something we just always need to remember. But it doesn't mean that it's not incorrect all the time or
Right.
whatever it is,
Right.
it's just thinking critically and fact checking, especially.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. Good reminder. Okay, thanks for that. I am going to say thank you for this entire conversation. I am going to give my takeaway, and then I'm also going to ask your suggested takeaway for people. So, my takeaway from this conversation is to go try Opus, basically. I think that sounded like a really great tool. So, as for a takeaway for the listener, what would you say is something that you would like the listener to take away from the idea of integrating AI with their content workflow?
Yeah, I think that it's just about, firstly, making sure that you are able to, remind yourself on a daily basis of, there's a lot of potential and possibilities with using these tools, and they can become a time suck and, kind of a hindrance in your workflow too, if you allow yourself to get sucked down the AI rabbit holes, and or if you are end up using it in a way that doesn't align with your workflow, and it ends up being like just another pressure point or pain point, right? So I think the best thing you could do is really just think about how I want to use these tools, and give yourself like, figure out how it can work into your workflow that you already have, and align with that versus being something that you need to completely reinvent the wheel for. And then also too, and we didn't really talk about this, but staying organized, is always really great when it comes to integrating, especially like ChatGPT or Opus even, into your content workflow, especially because ChatGPT will throw so many ideas your way and so many different things your way. And Opus Clip does give you, even like multiple video snippets that you can have and stuff, and so just having an organization system that works with like your integration of AI tools into your content creation system is like really important when you start using these tools, I think.
Okay, great. Thank you so much. And where can people find you if they want to explore more?
Yeah, you can find me at DIY with .ai. That's my website. And then also Authentic AI for Entrepreneurs is Instagram. That's where I hang out the most. And the Authentic AI for Entrepreneurs podcast is wonderful as well. So that's where you can find me. Yeah.
All right. Well, thanks for joining me. And listeners, if you have any questions or want to check the show notes for links, they are all there. Thanks for listening.
Thank you so much.
Thank you for sticking around. I hope you enjoyed the episode. If you're looking for SEO and content marketing help, consider joining the Small Business Sweet Spot. It's a group coaching program where you can get answers to your questions about your business directly and clarity around the marketing strategies that you would like to implement in your business. You can find all kinds of information at compassdigitalstrategies.com. And if you like the episode, please tell a friend. Cheers.